So next up, we have 3 lightning talks. The first talk will be Chris Murrow, RPKI operations.
Hey, hi. I'm Chris. I work for Google. This isn't really Google talk, but there's some Google stuff in it, so great. Read the fine print. I'm not going to talk about any legal crap, who to sign, what to sign. I don't care about that right now. At some point in time, hopefully, people will see value in the RPKI system and we can operate one as opposed to discussing all the politics. If you don't know what the RPKI system is, the quick and dirty is it's basically a PKI system to manage authorization for access or authorization for use of number resources, ASNs, IP addresses, or net blocks, whatever you like to call it. At the end of the day, you sign some stuff. I should step back. There's 2 kind of prevailing versions for this process. There's talk to your RIR, ARN, or RIPE, or whoever, and have them be the CA. You talk to them, and they publish stuff for you, and they manage all the publication for you. That's actually pretty easy, so if you're a small place or you don't really care a lot about running this infrastructure, that's a great option for you. If you're larger, like you're an AT&T, or Google is going to probably do it too, you want to have a little more control of your destiny. You'll run your own CA service. The RIR will sign stuff down toward you. You'll publish stuff out. You have to maintain all this stuff then, right? You have to be able to maintain servers and some other stuff. That's what this talk is about. So at the end of the day, after you do all some signing with certificates and this and that and keys, you're running an rsync server. It's really not magic. So how do you run an rsync server and you make it available across more than just your local enterprise network? Hopefully this is what this is about. There's a couple other presentations that talk about RPKI in a lot more detail. If you don't know what it is, I would suggest you look at those 2 links. Hopefully the PDF shows up someplace and the links are usable. If not, mail me and I'll send you the links. Or you could search on ash.com, which is what I did. So you need to run an rsync server. You need to manage some keys and stuff and keep those private. If somebody gets your keys, they can sign resources if they were used, so you probably don't want that. So you want to keep those relatively secure. And then you figure out which data you want to publish to the world. Probably you don't want to do this all in one server out on the public internet. That's not the best idea, maybe. And maybe not all of it is accessible to everybody in the world. Just the stuff you actually want to publish, not your keys. So in looking at this for Google, I said, well, I can't do this on all of our production stuff, which would make it easy and not my problem. I have to build this somewhere else. We can't really run an rsync service for some reason. It's a web company. It's so complicated. So in any case, I decided to use our cloud infrastructure to deploy a bunch of stuff. And at the end of the day, I followed the process that is outlined in the 1-page install that RPKI publishes. That's Randy's, not site, but it's Randy's work. And we're currently not publishing public stuff. We're publishing stuff through Randy's thing. So we're not the greatest example here. But at the end of the day, I would just have Aaron sign all my stuff and follow the same process I'm doing here. So if you're going to do this, you take one of the reference platforms. There's only really 2 available. There's only one available if you're going to be your own CA, and that's the RPKI.net reference platform. I chose to make one server private and keep all of my keys and whatnot on there. I'm probably going to do that for the long term as well. And then whatever gets created for my publication point, I just rsync out to my set of servers that are available to everybody to talk to. I put together some Puppet stuff, which is not completely done and not published here because our open source process is longer than I thought. But eventually you'll see the management framework that I put together here. It's Puppet, but we could build Ansible or something else if people are interested in something that's not Puppet. I just happened to learn Puppet, so I got stuck. The key point with all of the publication stuff is if you're a large organization and you change your data on a regular basis, there's some fear that as you change your manifest, which tells everybody what's in your repository, you change parts of the repository that as people come through and gather it, you don't really know when they're going to do this. They may get half the data, part the data, missing things. I think what I realized is if I just publish a brand new copy of all the data in a new place and point rsync at the new place every time I finish publishing, everyone always gets the current when they start form of data, and I don't change it underneath them. So the management framework does that for you. I think that's it for that slide. If there's any questions, people should speak up. But so after you get all this stuff published, then what would I do with it, right? If I was an ISP, I would be filtering my customers because I was at my last job. If you're not, like really seriously, people, it's not hard. We should do this. But presuming that you find it complicated for some reason, you can take the data out of the IRR. There's lots of documentation on how to do that. There's 2 presentations about IRR tools, and another one, somebody can jump on the mic and tell me who it was earlier this week, which is a good presentation. You can use those things. You can look at the data and say, wow, this is really cruddy data. NIST and Wright both kind of agree that it's not the best in the world. But with the RPKI data, if the customer of yours signs their prefixes or you sign prefixes for them, you could at least take that data and bounce it against the IRR data and say, okay, well, instead of 10 prefixes, Con Edison is no longer a customer of NTT, so we'll not let them send that route to us. So some examples of how to do that, you can use the whois.rpki.net service to kind of ask it for ROA data. So you could get the IRR data and ask rpki.net for the right thing. You could build a whois version of that. I'm going to probably bug Randy about how to get that code up and running somewhere else and put it into the same management package. And at the very least, you could stand up a router off path. You can do it with Quagga, Bird. You can do it with a real router. Juniper's and Cisco's both support the validation code. You can take all the ROA data you gather from the rest of the world. You can shovel it into this box. You can look at the prefixes that you see, mark them good, bad, or whatever, and then take some metrics on what the world looks like for you. And then if you have customers or your own data that's a problem, you can go fix that, hopefully. And know what's going to happen if you happen to end up using the data later in the production network. Sorry, that was it. It was really quick. Is there any questions? 3, 2, 1. Great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Chris. Next up, we have Jose Santos. He'll be doing a talk on training the next generation of network engineers or plumbers.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm getting old. I need to get my glasses. The message I'm bringing today is a little bit less traditional. I'm not going to talk about protocols, but rather about the people who is very likely to replace you in the near future. My perspective is from the academic environment and trying to address the challenges of the industry as they show up today and as they're going to show up over the next few years. If I ask some of you what's the definition of the perfect network engineers, I mean, I have a never-ending list. Not only you need to know protocols, you need to know the limitations of protocols, you need to be able to touch equipment, but also be able to automate some of the processes, be able to develop code, custom. I mean, the list is endless, but it keeps growing out. I see a lot of white hair or no hair in this room. Well, guess what? We are aging pretty fast, and we have to replace talent as quickly as we can. So not only that, you have to be an engineer, but also you have to be able to communicate, socialize, be professional. I'll be honest with you, that person doesn't exist today. There are very few, very handful of them. So if we were to even just expand any one of these dimensions, well, basic networking toolkits. We have like 20 different protocols, but also the intersection between these protocols. BGP is no longer a purist protocol. Now it's integrated with MPLS, with layer 2 tunneling, layer 3 tunneling, and so on. So how can we offer this set of knowledge or this knowledge base into our students today? I think, based on my personal experience and perhaps some shared experience with some of the members I discussed in the past, education is not the only dimension. Education is not the only way we can solve the demand of our industry. It's a combination of skills, but also a combination of training, and that training has to be offered in very particular environments. Experience over time, making mistakes is a necessity of our industry to be able to correct them and try to prevent them in the future. But also the work environment has to be never changing or continuous training environment, so you foster the growth of the person over time. Our challenge is, is network engineering a master's program, a 2-year degree plan that can be achievable. We grab any random professional from any background. We try to build them into a basic subset of industry standards. So far, some of the formulas have been working for us is we have students who have a CS, or computer science background. They are obviously more open to coding, familiarized with the ability to create their own environments, and they usually bleed over into the SDN tracks and making their own rules. But they need to understand networking in order to do that. If they are AA graduates, they are more hardware-oriented, and those are the type of students that are actually more maturing quickly in the Internet of Things types of architecture, trying to make their own components and link them to the network. But also we have a generation of professionals who are coming back after 30 years of commitment into one particular leg of the industry, and they have to reinvent themselves. So in that case, we see a lot of them being more comfortable in CLI, configuration management environments. 2 years is not enough to fulfill the needs of the previous, that I mentioned in the previous slides. So we took a look into the 5-year program now. The challenges that we face on 5-year programs is we need to convince younger generations to commit to networking early enough. The amount of knowledge they have to accumulate, again, is linear. There's no shortcut to get that done. But along those tracks, we're losing a lot of people, we lose a lot of interest over as they pass through their degree plan because there are other short-term high-reward markets. Everybody wants to move to the latest app, make a quick buck, and retire or do something fun with it. So how can you help? I see at least 200, 300 people here today. They have a unique path. We are network engineers by evolution, mostly, not by design. So it will be great if any one of you, or some of you, or even better if all of you, could share your personal experience. Tell me what sort of building blocks you have to go in order to reach the point that you are today in your career. What are the skill sets you have to combine to become the expert of today? What's the best way to combine those? What's the right time to learn each one of them? Now, you have to be fair. We're talking about 2 years. You have to be human. You have to balance life. You might be a working professional who's taking classes afterwards. If you go for the 5-year solution or map, you have to be fair for the youngsters. They're in college. They're having fun. They're not going to be doing this 24/7. So any one of your personal histories, at the end of the day, will provide us with some of the common trends. Okay, I took programming at this age, and that gave me the visibility to understand the logic necessary to make changes in an automated fashion, to solve network consolidation, blah, blah, blah. If you can share that experience with us, that will be great. Other ways you can help. Obviously, NANOG has started the college immersion program, and I see, we were able to bring a lot more students this particular year, and I think this is going to be a constant over subsequent events. I think the limitation of that model is that only works with network engineers. We can only invite people who is already committed to this industry, and not necessarily people who still don't have a clue if they want to take this career as their future. I think we need to influence academia at an earlier time. The new generation of not only engineers, but computer science and anything that is going to be IT related needs to understand the complexity of networking. I have discussions with all the departments, and everybody assumes that networking is just a service that somebody's going to provide for them. We're being taken for granted. We're not one particular experiment our university is going to do is trying to introduce concepts of networking at the base as a core class, as low as mathematics, because we want to place a seed for any particular graduating track that there's a lot of challenges in order to do a snapshot from one fort to another. The complexity of the infrastructure that lies behind is not something that is done automatically, and that actually requires a great level of responsibility and technical expertise. Other ways you can help. both grad and undergrad programs, not necessarily in our institution, but this is going to be common in all the institutions or your alma maters. Some of them involve a junior project, either at the undergrad level or the grad level, where students actually have to write a technical paper, make an experiment, and believe me, our institution and more than one, we are right now open to any ideas, any problems that you want to solve. Hey, I need 4 guys to work together on this particular coding problem. We are trying to attract as many ideas and problems for students to work on. And all it takes is perhaps a couple hours a month of supervision for a period of 8 months, and you can potentially have a technical report where the students actually were able to work together, model some of the solutions, and build a proposal for your department. So take advantage of that. It's no cost for your institution, it's no cost for you, and you can always explore, some special topics for which you don't have the manpower or perhaps the time to address, and let the students do that work for you. Again, we put that on the table. Also, we would like some of you to take advantage of your roaming capabilities. You go and do technical visits to some customer bases. Try to visit a school. Try to tell them how exciting is your career, your field, how perhaps your company is envisioning the future, and how can they invest in education, the selection of courses, so they can actually address some of the industry demands as they follow their educational process. Internships, obviously, is valuable. Some of the companies hire after students graduate, but it's too late to influence their education. You have to do a lot of the work in-house and have them internal training for a year, year and a half before they become productive. Some companies are actually being patient enough or investing early enough that during the first year, they just show them how to integrate into the workplace, but also they commit to them by providing, hey, I'll hire you next year for the next internship, and perhaps you should build on data center architectures. Perhaps you should be able to amend your scripting skills, and they actually get a much better results by following that particular 2-step internship program. Please send me or send us as much feedback as you can. I mean, it will take probably 5 to 10 minutes of your time to just give us the desired level of skills that you want from the next generation of network engineers, but also to share your perspective about what are the actual key components that the next generation of network engineers should have on their belt. So I think that's 10 minutes on the spot. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Over here.
Yes.
I might suggest that the perfect network engineer, this is Louis,
Louis.
Equinix this week, Google
Yes.
Fiber next week. The perfect network engineer could tell the difference between cloud and not cloud.
Fair enough.
Have you seen any of these internship programs having guidance on how to interview, how to write a resume? Because I wouldn't want any of these valuable skills to get lost because they can't find a good job at a good company that can make a difference.
We do have a parenting role in our department. We have to take them up to speed professionally, be able to present their ideas concisely. We do help them with resume presentations. But remember, a lot of us, we did not get that help. We are engineers, we're isolated, we just care about the computer, and we don't socialize. I think it's something has to be built on top. We do have a particular effort. We do that particular effort on the side. We have a different department, different lady actually trying to build the professional skills needed to address the marketplace. But yes, that's part of the soft skills that also are desirable by the market. And it boils down to communication, writing skills, and be able to integrate in a work environment where collaboration sometimes is more important than the technical skill that you have.
Wonderful,
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. We could fit in maybe one quick question.
Steve?
Sorry, Pam, there are 2 others, so we'll just take one.
Yeah, just a minor comment. Matt Peterson, Cumulus Networks. You might want to look into the University of New Hampshire. They have a program called Interoperability Lab, IOL, and my organization has been there a number of times, and they actually get high school students involved fairly early on. And I think that's a very successful way to get people influenced, particularly early in their career. Another point to make also about internships is that we actually have college students work on very critical parts of the product. So I think you need to make the internships attractive, not just, you're getting busy work, but very attractive work. So thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks a lot.
I'll meet with you.
Is it very quick?
No, this is very quick and very important. Pamela Bryan, Akamai Technologies. I'd like to know if you have any special focus on women and minorities in engineering future. Thank you.
Our program is about right now about 40% female and obviously the rest male. And there are actually organizations who've incentivized our recruitment not only for students with female, not background, I'm sorry, I lost the term there. Yeah. In the case of Amazon, for example, they're looking for 150 female network engineers, and we're trying to build them as far as we can. But believe me, I think networking is also a very neutral environment for both genders in this domain. So I'll meet with you in a second.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our final talk will be by Anrid Suri on the NOT resolver.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrei Suri, and I work for CZ registry. And I would like to present you, well, what we have been doing in the last year. We are building a new DNS resolver from the scratch. And, well, what it is? It's open source. Well, obviously, it's DNS resolver. You can get the sources at the URL there. It comes with extensive documentation, so, well, from the start. And it's not only a DNS resolver, it's a platform for building recursive DNS services because it's very modular, as I will show you. It also comes with DNS validation, with trust anchor management, and negative trust anchors, which is important if somebody shoots themselves in the foot with not resigning their zones. So some technical details. It's written in C and LuaJIT, so it's very fast. And it's scriptable, and it has dynamic configuration in Lua, so you can write programs in the configuration, which is very cool. And I would show you, but we don't have enough time for that. It has very simple core, just 3 modules: iterator, cache, validator, but it's extensible with the modules in C, Lua, and Go. And we even ship some of the modules like, well, policies, views, response policy zones, and more. Well, I will talk about them. We also support IPv6 from the start with, well, some tweaks to make the eyeballs happy. And well, from a technical perspective, it doesn't do threading, but it scales by self-replication. You just fire up another instance on the same port, and it works. So who is it for? Well, basically for everybody. For large recursive DNS farms, it's very scalable. It's very flexible because you can write your own scripts into that. Well, we have statistic metrics, and well, you can export those into Graphite if you, well, it's some fancy new web stuff. We have negative trust anchors, and it's also cluster aware. You can have an etcd module for replicated configuration across the cluster. It's also, well suited for small recursors in private networks. It does QNAME minimization, which is the new stuff in the DNS privacy. Well, again, it does the DNSSEC and key management automatically. It has slow memory consumption. You can even, well, downscale the cache. And it's also good for your personal resolver in your laptop. In fact, I'm running it for, well, several weeks now. And, well, we ironed some bugs out, but it works very well. And it's very simple. You just, well, give it a root key, and the interface is to listen to, and that's it. The cache is persistent across restarts and reboots. And we also plan for the future, well, do some stuff to circumvent the horrible, well, hotel Wi-Fi's like the Fairmont is, which intercepts all DNS queries to all addresses. This is the example of the Graphite module. So it could draw all fancy graphs if you are into that. So what's the current status of the project? We are currently entering a beta phase of the project, so it's ready for the external testing. But as I said, I'm already running it on my laptop for several weeks and without any problems. And so give it a try. The sources are available. We also have a Docker script that can install it for you. We have Linux packages, currently only for Ubuntu, but we will extend that shortly. And for strange stuff, well, people can do in DNS, and we would like to hear from you about, well, any failures or strange behavior or even success stories. So please give it a try. And well, that's not the only thing the cool thing we do in CZNIC. We also have Tourist Omnia, which is open hardware with the designs available, open source home router. Well, check it out. We have not DNS authoritative part of the DNS server, and you probably might know BERT, the routing daemon. This also comes from our stable, so to say. Okay, so I was faster than I expected, so we have time for questions if you are, well, interested in asking something or throwing eggs or tomatoes.
Hi, Doug Montgomery-Nist. Do you have heuristics or built into the QName minimization to deal with authoritatives who?
Yeah. Basically, well, it's something we call best effort QName minimization, and it stops at the zone cuts to, well, exactly circumvent those strange stuff that CDNs throws at the resolvers. So it's not the strict QName minimization, but it tries to, well, answer you.
Is whatever techniques you use well documented somewhere, either in the code or in, or do you have to reverse
well, I
engineer?
think right now it's in the code, basically, but well, shoot me an email and we can talk about that more about in the email how it's done.
Okay.
Hi, Andre. Dwayne Wessels from VeriSign. My question was also about the QName minimization. I was just going to ask if it's enabled by default or it has to be
It's on by default.
Okay.
Well, in fact, I think you can't turn it off.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Jacques with .ca. So for large-scale recursive farms, do you sell like software support, maintenance, and all that? Or planning too?
Jacques, could you say that again?
So for large-scale recursive farms, are you planning to sell software maintenance to provide to?
Well, yeah, we build everything open source, and we are trying to get those projects self-sustainable. So we will, well, once it's stabilized, then we will offer a support contracts for that as well.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So it is finally time for lunch, which is on your own today, and we will resume at 2:30. We have our peering track in this room, and there's also going to be a talk on strategies for packet buffering inside of routers, and I believe that's in the Mackenzie room. Don't forget your surveys, and thank you very much.